Hello everyone, my name is Vladimir. Welcome to another video. So recently, more and more people have been asking me how I learn languages and how long it took me to learn all the languages that I've learned. And also in the comments below the video that I have made, there have been several questions like this, and they were pretty repetitive. And I tried to reply to all of them, but I also thought that it might be a good idea to make a separate video out of it. So I'll try to respond to all the most frequent questions that I got in the past couple of weeks, and yeah, try to go through them one by one. So how long did it take you to learn all the languages that you speak? Took me my entire life. I was learning languages since I was a little child. My first language was probably Hungarian, which I learned in the kindergarten, and before that too. Then was English, and so on, and I kept learning and kept learning. So it took me really my entire life. It didn't happen overnight. It was a really long process. How did you learn the language that you speak? It depends on the language. Like I said, some of them I learned as a child, so I don't really even have a notion of learning them. Hungarian, Slovak, Czech, English, these languages I picked up as a child. And then later, some of them I started learning like at school, but I didn't learn that much doing that. I think that was the case for German, for instance. I started learning it at school, but I didn't learn my German at school. I learned it mostly by watching television and then having classes outside of the school and living in Austria for some time. And when I got older, so I sort of passed that benchmark or threshold where you're able to learn languages just by absorption and not really thinking about it too much. I think it depended on what kind of a language it was, like how hard and difficult it was. If it was an easier language, like for instance Serbian and Russian, Polish for instance, what I would do, I was just try to use it as fast as and start speaking as early as I could. And in order to do that, I was just try to get as much vocabulary and constructions into my head as possible, because with these languages it's possible because they're easier for me. They're closer to my native language. So what I would do, I would pick up just a regular book, a novel, a detective story, something that was, something that would keep me motivated and would be interesting to read, and I would read it with a dictionary, and I would write translations of the words that I didn't know, and interesting expressions on the side of the page. I would review. I would listen to news every day for hours and hours with the dictionary, and I would try to talk at least 2-3 times a week with someone in that language. And with difficult languages like Chinese, it's pretty much the same, but it's much more difficult because it's extremely hard to start speaking and start using the language and learning the language just by practicing it. So you need to spend much more time learning expressions, much more time on learning how to understand the language. I started learning Chinese at a university in Prague. I studied there for 3 years for bachelor's, but 2 years in Prague, and then the last year in Taiwan. And I continued for another 4 years in Taiwan. So, and in total, I've been learning Chinese for 8 years, and I'm still not satisfied. So it's, it really, if it's a difficult language like that, takes much more effort, takes much more time, but pretty much the same strategy as with easy languages. That is, start using the language as fast as I could so that I could learn by practicing. Could you give me any language learning tips? Yeah, sure. The thing is that I have a blog, which I've been writing for about 5-6 years now, and I wrote probably about absolutely everything that I think about language learning there. So if I would write what I think about language learning in the comments, I would only be repeating myself. So if anyone is interested in reading a little bit about what I think about language learning and my struggles with, with Mandarin, Chinese, and other languages, feel free to go to my blog. It's called, the address is www.foreverastudent.com. You can find it in the description of this video too. And there are some tips and things that you can read about that. What was the most difficult language to learn? I made a video about that. It was Mandarin Chinese. You can go ahead and watch that video. And I said why I think it's the most difficult one, and personally why for me it was the most difficult one. What language do you dream in? Probably Slovak now, but I remember times when I was younger, I was dreaming in Hungarian, I was dreaming in German and English. I think that was in Chinese too. I had some dreams in Chinese too. Why did you start learning languages? There wasn't a start, really. Like I said, I grew up in a bilingual household, speaking Hungarian and Slovak, and Czech was the language that I picked up from TV, and I learned English when I was 8. I picked it up in the United States, so I didn't really. There wasn't really like a start per se when I decided that yeah, I love languages and I would like to learn. When I was a child, there were many people around me, be it family or friends or just ordinary people who spoke many languages very well too. So it was very natural. It was very natural to learn languages, to speak languages, to be willing to speak more languages. And the question really was not how many you speak, but how well you speak them. And we were kind of competing amongst our friends as to who would be speaking better English, better German, and so on. And it just continued like that. And yeah, just went on throughout my life. And what was the most beautiful language that I've ever learned? This is, of course, very subjective. This is only my personal opinion. To me personally, I really liked, and it's really hard to tell because, I mean, if I didn't like the language, I probably would never have tried learning it. So I like all languages that I have studied to a certain extent. But I think the language that I like most is, well, this three. Hungarian, because I went to Hungarian kindergarten and I have very nice feelings when I speak Hungarian that tie me sort of to that time. Russian, because I really like the sound and I really like the people and the country. And Cantonese, because I love the sound of Cantonese and I love Hong Kong. It's one of my favorite cities in the world. So again, this is very individual, very subjective. These are the three languages that I like most. Oh, and of course, Farsi, because I love the sound of Farsi. So yeah, there you have it, these short answers to the most frequently asked questions that I got in the past couple of weeks. Hope it's going to help some of you. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, like it, subscribe, share, all the good stuff. And I will see you in the next ones. Bye-bye.